It is time for the fantasy preview for Nashville Superspeedway. Really looking forward to this one. Kyle once again won at Sonoma 2 weeks ago by 1 point. It's been a rough go for myself over the past, I think, 6 weeks now.
It is something like that now, right? It's
been pretty rough, and I don't know what to think going into this weekend. And of course, we record this on the Friday, and NASCAR scheduling has the practice sessions for the Cup Series on the Saturday. So even with practice and qualifying, we do not get the advantage to know who's going to be quick this weekend. But we can go a little bit off of the 750 horsepower package results so far this season to try and help us with our lineups, because that's really where it's going to be. And of course, the momentum maybe coming from race weekend to race weekend can be a bit of a factor into your fantasy lineup. But 750 horsepower package results are going to be a really good baseline in figuring out who's going to be in our lineups. But you lead us off, Kyle. You start us off with the first pick this weekend. We've got the Truck Series, Xfinity, Cup Series, and Cup Series pole winner picks to make a little bit later on. But you start us off with the first pick in your lineup.
Yes, and this is a unique one because, of course, we don't have any prior races to kind of pull from in terms of any stats at the track or anything like that. You're looking 10 years back and that to lower series races as well for that. So toss all that to the side. None of it really matters. We're talking about this weekend, kind of going in blind and trying to pull from maybe some data from this season to kind of pull from your lineup. And because of that, I could completely miss on all of these and have a tough weekend, or I could miraculously hit on all of them and have a great weekend. I really have no clue how this one is going to play out. But Nashville Superspeedway, concrete surface, it is the 750 horsepower package. Even though it is that cookie cutter shape, it is slightly smaller. It's 1.33 miles or thereabouts. Yeah. So 750 horsepower package. Looking like it's going to be a one groove track. It's going to be a low wear tire as well. So not a lot of tire degradation overrun. So a few things to consider in that regard. So really not sure how this race is going to play out, but I'll begin kind of going with a bit of a safe bet here. And looking at the 750 horsepower package, he's been great, even though he hasn't got a win yet. And that is Denny Hamlin, starting it off for myself. 750 horsepower package, has finished in the top 10 in every single race, and has got at least 45 points in every single race. And that includes Dover at 45 points, previous to that Darlington 48, Richmond 55, Martinsville 52, and Phoenix 49. He leads the series in average points haul at the 750 horsepower races. So Denny Hamlin I'm going to lead things off. Doesn't have the win yet this season. The form hasn't been as great in the last couple of weeks. Has lost some ground to Kyle Larson atop that regular season championship battle. But I feel like this could be a decent opportunity, given their speed so far this season at the 750 horsepower races, to kind of get back in that groove. So Denny Hamlin is going to lead things off for myself.
How many usage do you have left on Denny Hamlin?
Let me double check real quick. I've got 5 left for Denny.
Okay, I have 4 for Mr. Hamlin currently, but I am going to be using a Denny Hamlin usage this weekend. I'm going to go down to 3. I have Denny Hamlin in my lineup as well. He has the most points out of anybody this season on the 750 horsepower package, with an average of 49.8 points per race, which is absolutely phenomenal. I think if you don't win any stages, the winner gets only 40 points with a race victory. So the fact that he's up above that near the 50 is really, really impressive for not even having a race victory in that. So very, very solid stage points for Denny Hamlin this season. And I think this could be a solid bounce back week. And, you know, like you said, it's been a bit of a struggle in terms of having that consistent top 5 speed that we saw miraculously for the first about 11 races of the season. The past 5 or 6 or so haven't quite been up to that same expectation or up to that same par as what Denny Hamlin started the season off, which is understandable. With the pace that he started this season off with was almost historic. So very, very looking forward to seeing what Hamlin could do this weekend. And I don't know what to expect from the 11 car, to be honest. I think it's a solid top 7 day is probably in the cards for the 11 car, but we'll see what happens with practice speeds and through qualifying on where the 11 car's pace really is. But I'm hopeful that the 750 horsepower package results will end up translating to this weekend at Nashville. So he starts my lineup off as well. Going into my second pick, it's a guy who has had very, very good success on the 750 horsepower package as well this season, and that's Joey Logano. I have a lot of faith in him this weekend. He could potentially win this race. I've got 6 usages left on Mr. Logano this weekend. He's got the third most points out of anybody with the 750 horsepower package, excluding the road course races, which even though we are excluding that for my purposes here on what I have written down, he has done miraculously well on the road courses themselves as well. So I think Logano has all the makings of having a really good weekend here. He won an Xfinity Series race as well back in the day when he was driving for Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 20 car. So real flashback there. And I think Joey Logano is going to be a force to be reckoned with this weekend. I would not be surprised if the 22 car is up in the mix in that top 5 consistently. And I think, when we saw hopefully that momentum at the All-Star race last weekend can kind of translate into a good weekend here, even though they're entirely different packages. Momentum is a decent thing, and Logano could use a little bit of that right now. So I'd say he's going to be a good bet. That's why I have him as my second pick.
He is also my second pick here. Joey Logano and that 22 team have put all their eggs in the 750 horsepower basket this season. On 550 horsepower tracks, they've averaged 21.6 points. On 750 horsepower tracks, that's 20 points higher at 41.2. So they've been very, very good on the 750 horsepower tracks, not so good at 550 horsepower tracks. So Joey Logano going into this weekend should absolutely be the lead Penske car, should absolutely be in that top 5 conversation all day. At Dover didn't have the greatest day, just 36 points, but a top 10 finish there. Looking back a little bit more, you're looking at 50 points at Richmond, 54 at Phoenix. So maybe taking a little bit from those. But the start of the season was very, very strong for Logano on the 750 horsepower package tracks. A little bit less so at Darlington and Dover, still some solid results though. I'm expecting him to be definitely a win contender this weekend for Ford and for Penske. And actually I'm going back to the Penske stable for this next one, and that's Ryan Blaney for my next pick here. He's been solid on the 750 horsepower tracks this season, 46 points at Martinsville, even though he didn't finish in the top 10 due to some circumstances at the end of that race there with a penalty. 43 points at Phoenix, just 33 at Dover and not inside the top 10. But when I'm looking at it here, I'm looking to kind of diversify a little bit and not just go all on the heavy hitters for this weekend, just because we don't know kind of who's going to be the big players this weekend. And so for Ryan Blaney, he's been solid on the 750 horsepower package tracks this season. I've still got 7 usages for him here. So kind of starting to get to that crunch time where I got to start playing some of these, and Ryan Blaney feels like a solid bet this weekend for myself, given the usage situation, averaging 37.8 points on the 750 horsepower track. So not a bad bet whatsoever. Top 10 threat, absolutely. Top 5 threat, maybe a little bit less so, but I'm expecting a solid day for Ryan Blaney nonetheless.
I have Ryan Blaney in my lineup as well.
Okay.
Six more points with the 750 horsepower package so far this season, averaging 37.8 points as well, like you said. So has been very, very solid. He's a good, solid usage. It's going to get you some really good points this weekend. I have 5 usages left with Blaney, so I'm on the fringe with him going down the stretch. But when I look at the tracks coming up, I'm like, okay, I can probably really swing. I can swing using a usage here and going down to 4 if he does well through the first 2 stages, of course. So I'm anticipating a good weekend for Ryan Blaney. I think Logano should be the lead Penske guy, but I think Blaney will be in for a shout, could be a surprise, top 5 guy. If there's a late restart or something like that, he could probably work his way up into that mix. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Ryan Blaney can do this weekend. It's been kind of slow the last couple of weeks here, hasn't quite found the finishes to really, kind of back up that Atlanta win. It's been kind of back and forth for him over the last month or so. So I'm hopeful that Blaney can try and get some solid finishes here, get some consistency going into the playoffs, because that is approaching pretty rapidly. It's coming close every day. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Blaney and that Team Penske team can do this weekend. So that's my third guy as well. For my fourth selection, I'm going to the HMS stable, and it's going to be Mr. Alex Bowman. After his contract extension, he has both wins in 2021 on the 750 horsepower package coming at Dover and Richmond. He's been very, very good so far on this package. So I expect big things from Alex Bowman this weekend. He could potentially be the guy that gets a third win on the season here this weekend if things go his way. I could definitely see the 48 car in victory lane after this one. I don't know. I don't know what to expect because we don't have practice really, but I think there is the potential for him to be up there at the front. He kind of surprised everybody at Richmond and a little bit at Dover as well with his race victories, but he likes to do them in a little bit in the late fashion. He likes to come on late in his race victories, and I could see potentially something like that happening here for Alex Bowman this weekend in Nashville. So due to his 750 horsepower package performance this season and having 6 usages left on the 48 car, I feel in a very good shape to use him this weekend.
I will say Richmond was surprising. Dover was not surprising because do not forget, Alex Bowman was in my fantasy lineup for Dover. So thank you very much right there. But Alex Bowman is also in my fantasy lineup here. So we're 4 for 4 to start here. Alex Bowman, you have to have a Hendrick car in there at some point. I didn't feel comfortable using any of the other 3 at this point. A little bit undecided on one of them, but I'm not super comfortable using any of the other 3 given my usage situations for the rest of them. Alex Bowman, I've got 5 left on him here. I'm not super worried about his usages the rest of the way here. And it's kind of swinging a little bit. He's been either win the race or kind of not in the conversation on the 750 horsepower package races. 51 points in the win at Dover, 51 points in the win at Richmond, but then 21 points at Darlington, not in the top 10. Martinsville, 13 points, got involved in that wreck, and Phoenix, 24 points. So Martinsville, he was more in the conversation and got caught up in some stuff, but it's been very much up and down so far this season for Bowman at the 750 horsepower package tracks. Hendrick's been on a roll, so I got to play one of them in the lineup. I have the most usages left for Bowman here, so I'm going to use him. The one thing I will say is at Dover, he was very strong. All of Hendrick was. And that is the concrete surface. So maybe if you want to pull that tie, you can, even though there's really not a lot to take between the 2 tracks. But there's not a lot of concrete we go to in NASCAR. It's basically Dover, Bristol, and that's about it. Now we're adding Nashville into that. So not a lot to take from it. But Alex Bowman going to be in my lineup to get that Hendrick contingency in the lineup. We'll see if I add another one in these next 2 picks, or at least for my last pick, but remains to be seen on that one. My 5th pick, though, is one that I have to make. I have to do it. And it's 50% because of how good they've been this season, which is good, but not amazing, given kind of the expectation level for them. And 50% because of the paint scheme. It's Kevin Harvick. He's got to be in the lineup for the Gravedigger paint scheme for starters. Absolutely love that. That is going to be in my livery paint scheme of the year 100% when we come time to the end of the season to do our full motorsports awards. But for Kevin Harvick, he's actually been pretty okay on the 750 horsepower package tracks this season. 40 points at Phoenix, 37 at Darlington, 42 at Dover is the really big one that I'm looking at. They've been getting more and more competitive week in, week out. That Gravedigger paint scheme is fantastic. You've got practice, you've got qualifying. I feel pretty solid about Kevin Harvick this weekend, so he's going to be my 5th entry to the lineup here.
Okay. I love the pick.
And I've got 6 usages left for Harvick here.
Okay. I'm undecided on Kevin Harvick now.
Well, you've got back-to-back to finish it off here, so you're going to have to
figure it out pretty quick, Yeah. Here we go. The weekly stall. Gosh darn it.
Do you at least have number 5 picked out?
Yes, and I will go into that right now. And, you saying that the Hendrick Motorsports stable, you're not really looking at the other 3, that gave me a little bit of a pep up in my step a little bit. I'm not going to lie, because I am using a massive usage here this weekend. And this is purely just to try and win me a week here, because I just need a race. I just need a week win here just to get the confidence up a little bit, just to try and get that momentum back a little bit. And I'm going with the defending Cup Series champion, Chase Elliott, in my lineup this weekend. I got 5 usages left with him. And when I look at the calendar, I'm not very comfortable with that because I think he's going to be very good at a couple of other tracks. But when I look at my situation with Larson being with 3 usages and Byron with 4, I wish I had maybe 1 more usage on Byron, then I would have let him loose this weekend, but I just couldn't quite pull the trigger on him with 4. But I think Chase Elliott with 5, I can maybe swing it. And if I don't feel comfortable with it after the first couple of stages, I'll put him in the garage if things are able to work out that way so I don't waste the usage on him. But I'd rather have him in there than not have him in there. He's been pretty decent at Dover, which is another concrete surface. So I'm trying to draw a little bit to that. He's been decent on the 750 horsepower packages this season, 37.5 points per race. So has been a bit more solid on the 550, but I think that there's some room for improvement there for Chase Elliott at the 750, and I'll give him the bit of a bump here because we haven't really had a 750 track with practice. And I think with having that practice this weekend to get the car dialed in a little bit, I think Chase Elliott and Alan Gustafson can figure out a package here for set themselves up good for race day. And I'm hopeful that that's the case for me this weekend. So I don't consider this a burning a Chase Elliott usage. I hope he can do a very good job and get me a top 5 at the very least, because that's what you expect from when you use a Chase Elliott usage in the regular season. But we'll see what happens with him in this one. But I don't know. I'm not overly confident with that pick, but I feel the need to, just based off of my usage situation and my situation in fantasy being down so many weeks.
Okay, swinging big on that one. You've still got another pick to make, though, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
I have my 6th and final one. I don't like my usage situation with anybody that I have left. I got to be completely honest here.
Okay.
that I'm looking at, and it's I'm at 4 for a lot of these guys, and I look at them. I'm like, yeah, I could use them here that weekend, but then again, I can only use 6 drivers per that weekend, so I've got to try and figure this out a little bit. And honestly, I think your pick of Kevin Harvick is probably where I'm going to go here, because I have 4 usages left on the 4 car. When I look at the calendar coming up, I'm like, okay, Kevin Harvick, he's been decent so far this season. He's not been spectacular, not the Kevin Harvick standards that we've seen in previous seasons, but I think Michigan is a place where I'm definitely going to be playing him. That's a track where I don't really have a good feel of where to use for fantasy, but he's always kind of been very good there. And then when I look at the rest of the calendar, I'm like, yeah, I could probably use him at New Hampshire, maybe a Pocono race if things go his way. But then that's kind of where it really stops for me. And Atlanta, of course. Those 4 I can definitely look at potentially, but I feel like using one here is not going to burn me too bad. So I'll use Kevin Harvick as my last usage here and my last pick for fantasy this week. And I know it's very similar to your lineup. It puts you in a bit of a tricky spot here. Can't match me on Chase Elliott, which is very nice, but I don't know. I don't think you were going to do it. I don't think you're ever going to do it in your thing. So I'll take 5 as 6, and I'll take Chase Elliott going up against whoever you decide to put in your lineup, basically. So I'm going to go with the 4.
All right. So I don't love the fact that you've left me basically having to match up against Chase Elliott here if we're not going to have the same lineup here. Has that happened this season? I don't think it has. It's all been unique. At least
you put a rule in that we can't.
Well, no, I know. I'm saying, but we haven't had the top 5 that we ended up using the same either. It's all been somebody wins a week. It hasn't been any ties yet.
No.
But what I'll say is that originally I was going to put Christopher Bell in my lineup as a good car, somebody who actually did the tire test here at Nashville. So he has a couple extra laps going into things here, has been better on the 750 horsepower package than the 550 horsepower package. But given the fact that I have to go up against Chase Elliott if I'm going to win this weekend, I got to bust out the big guns a little bit. And you're not going to like this one because I'm taking a little bit from your playbook. You got practice, you got qualifying, and he's running the Xfinity race, going for win number 100. Kyle Busch is going to be the final. I love it.
If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose to Kyle Busch. That means
this is going to be the final entry to my lineup. I don't love doing it. I don't love doing it because he's been so much better on the 550 horsepower package races this season. But not a ton of those package races coming up the rest of the season. You've got a couple at Pocono, you've got Atlanta, and then you've got Michigan. That's the rest of them. So if I do use a Kyle Busch usage here, I'm not heartbroken by any means.
How many you got left?
Let me double check. I think I've got 4 left, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I've got 4 left for Kyle Busch here.
Wow. Yeah.
So
that's okay.
I'm not as heartbroken about that as you seem to be. Just looking at how I was originally going to play it out, I wasn't going to use him at Nashville, but I'm also fine with the way that things play out here. Don't have to use him if I'm not feeling it based off of how things go. If there's any early issues for anybody, of course, that could play into things. But for Kyle Busch here, practice qualifying Xfinity race, that's going to be a lot of laps on a track that not many people have. I'm banking on good starting position with those extra laps from Xfinity practice, Xfinity qualifying, and the Xfinity race, playing into at least some early gains in terms of getting out front, maybe getting some big stage points and maybe the first or second stage, and then maybe being in the conversation for the win. I'm not certain how that will play out, but Kyle Busch, he's got laps on the track. He's going to have laps this weekend, usually plays into his favor in terms of how he does. You look at Charlotte, they had practice and qualifying, even though it was a different package. They were the only team essentially that could compete with the Hendrick cars. I'm hoping that maybe that plays into this weekend as well. So Kyle Busch is going to be the final entry to my lineup here to round it out.
I mean, if I'm going to lose, like I said, I'm happy to lose to Kyle Busch this weekend.
Will you though? Will you though?
Yeah, because that means that he's had a good weekend and it's had a better weekend than Chase Elliott.
If we fast forward to the end of Sunday's race and Kyle Busch is the reason why I won, we will see how things are. That's all I'll say.
Okay, fair enough. If he's standing in victory lane at the end of it, I won't care in the slightest. But for me, I was never going to use Kyle Busch this weekend.
Interesting.
Just because I have 4 usages left on him, and I think there's 6 tracks that I feel like I would be very comfortable using him with for the rest of the regular season. I like his driving style on a lot of these upcoming tracks, but I just didn't feel like I could use him here at Nashville this weekend, despite the practice and qualifying. Like I've said, he's just a beast with that, trying to get the car dialed in. But I'll just say that I'm going to stay away from him for myself. But let's go to the honorable mentions where he does make an appearance. But for me, Kyle Larson is absolutely an honorable mention this weekend. Maybe he won't win the race, but just based on his form this season, you have to think of him as an honorable mention basically everywhere we go now. But with 3 usages left for me, I have my 3 races kind of picked out and where I want to use Kyle Larson for the rest of the season. So I'm going to wait for those opportunities. Then his Hendrick Motorsports teammate, William Byron, running the Truck Series race later tonight. And I think he's going to be really solid this weekend. I think he could be a potential win candidate for me, but I just didn't like my usage situation with 4 when I look at some other places where it's a little more slim pickings with some usage situations or where there's more options to pick from drivers. Then Martin Truex Jr. has been pretty decent with the 750 horsepower package this season. 5 usages left for me with Truex, but I like him at some other places just a little bit more with the unknowns here of Nashville. Hasn't really raced here in the Xfinity Series either. He's not doing any double duty this weekend, so I'm going to say that I'm going to go against Martin Truex Jr., but if you have 5 usages, I would say play him even that way as well. If you feel Busch, if you like Kyle has potentially going, I would probably go against that logic for this weekend, but that's just my personal opinion. But I think if you have 5 usages, you can probably play him here this weekend if you're comfortable with it. Any more than 5, you've wasted some Kyle Busch usages probably and not put him in your lineup when it was probably a good time to put him in your lineup. But I think that this weekend is a bit of a 50-50 for me this weekend with Kyle Busch. Then we go Brad Keselowski. I was contemplating on putting him in, staying away from him, or honorable mentions. I could see him being a stay away from, to be honest. I don't quite get the impression the 2 car could be too quick this weekend based off of his 750 horsepower package kind of results so far this season. So I have a tough time reading the 2 car. I just threw him in here just in case because he's a big name and could potentially do something, and I don't want to look stupid and have him in stay away from, and he wins the fucking race. So I've got RCR with the duo of Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick. I think they could be really good this weekend. Tyler Reddick was very close for me to be that fringe kind of guy, but based off of your lineups kind of thing. If you went Bell, if you had the first pick, I probably would have gone with Reddick. I think that's probably a good 1A, 1B situation if we were to have gone that way, but it didn't. But I think Reddick could be a sneaky play this weekend, a good value usage. And I'll toss in Daniel Suarez in here as well. He's done very good at Dover with this package on concrete tracks. Concrete track here, 750 horsepower package. I could see Daniel Suarez maybe doing something this weekend and getting a top 13, top 12 maybe, if things go his way, getting some practice underneath his belt as well would do well for the team like Trackhouse. But yeah, I think those are all really good, solid additions there. Austin Dillon, I forgot to mention him. Really touch on him. He won a truck series race, I believe, here the last time we were here. So has had some success here, won a race here. So maybe he can surprise some things despite being a little bit poor on the 750 package tracks compared to the 550 ones so far this season. But those are the honorable mentions. My stay away froms for this weekend. Matt DiBenedetto has been on a really rough go of things after 2 consecutive top 5 finishes about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Hasn't finished inside the top 15 since then. Kurt Busch just hasn't quite had the consistency so far this season for me to say that he's a good value play. I used him quite a bit last season for value, but there's not much value with that one car right now until they get that ship righted over there. And then finally, it's a guy that you were looking at for your lineup. I'm a bit hesitant on Christopher Bell this weekend. I think they just haven't quite found that form so far this season. And I know the 750 horsepower package results have been decent. He did well at Richmond there. And he was decent at Phoenix earlier on this season. But apart from that, I don't know if I've seen the 20 car quite up to par. I think that the second race victory, or the second race of the season resulting in a victory for them, was huge for that team, looking at where they have kind of finished since then. So I'm expecting him to try and turn it around over here over the last couple of months here before the playoffs start, hopefully. I don't know if this is the weekend where that starts, but we'll see if it comes around to that. I'm just a bit hesitant on the 20 car. Adam Stevens is better with practice, it seems, with setting up a car. So maybe that'll do him a little bit better this weekend with practice. But that's my stay away froms for this weekend and the honorable mentions. Let's get into the bonus picks. Kyle, who leads us off for this one? Is it you or for me?
I do.
Okay.
Because I had the last pick there of Kyle Busch, so I lead things off.
Okay.
For this one. This is the one that I had the most trouble with. This first pick here for Chevrolet, because the other ones I feel pretty safe about. But for Chevrolet, 750 horsepower package hasn't been that same bread and butter for Hendrick as the 550 horsepower package has been. It's been much more kind of up in the air who the top Hendrick car has been at these tracks. You look at William Byron, he's finished inside the top 10 in every single 750 horsepower package race so far this season, but he also hasn't necessarily been the top finisher of those. You look, Chase Elliott, of course, is in the conversation. Kyle Larson was just dominant at another concrete track in Dover. Alex Bowman just won on a concrete track in Dover. So I think I'm going to cover my bases just a little bit because you've got Chase Elliott in the lineup, and I don't feel great about anyone in particular at Hendrick. I think I'll play Chase Elliott as my top Chevy. Try and recoup some points maybe if he does have a really strong day, but I don't feel very strongly about any of the Hendrick cars or any Chevrolet in particular. So I'll go Chase Elliott and see how things play out for the Hendrick camp.
For me, it was pretty simple, to be honest. I'm covering my bases, and that's Kyle Larson for the top Chevrolet, just in case he is the guy that is the lead Hendrick guy again this weekend. And, I don't have any reason to think that's not going to be the case because of how strong he's been. Won the All-Star race, won the Coca-Cola 600. I mean, the guy is just on firing form right now. Won at Sonoma. I mean, he's just on another level right now with his consistency and his pace. So for me, I mean, I have Chase Elliott in my lineup, but the fact that I don't have Kyle Larson in my lineup scares me a little bit. So I'm going to put him in as the top Chevrolet to get some points there if he is the lead Hendrick guy over there on Sunday. Top Ford, this was very simple for me, to be honest. And it's Joey Logano. Even though We've had a very love-hate relationship so far with this category this season. Every time I don't pick him, he is the top four.
You have. I have.
No, that's what I'm saying. I have had like me and him have had a really love-hate relationship. Not you. You've had a great relationship with Joey Logano this season. Every time I don't pick him, you do, and then he ends up getting you 5 extra points. But this weekend, I'm making sure I get him here, and if he has a bad day, that's really unfortunate because I have him in my lineup too. But I'm going to say that maybe the curse is broken, hopefully for one weekend here. And it's pretty simple for me. Joey Logano is the favorite to win this category for me. Kevin Harvick could be an outside mention maybe, and Ryan Blaney, but Logano is definitely the front runner.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of go against you for this pick. I was hoping you'd maybe go elsewhere, but I have to go Joey Logano for this one. Okay. He's just been too good on the 750 horsepower package tracks. I thought about going Harvick, but I just don't think it's worth the gamble for 5 points in the swing that would be, just given the odds of Logano being that top finisher. So Joey Logano as well will be my top Ford. And now we go to top Toyota. And this one I feel pretty safe about as well. I'm just going to go nice and easy. The fastest 750 horsepower package car this season has been Denny Hamlin. So I'll just have him as the top Toyota. It could easily be Martin Truex Jr. It could easily be Kyle Busch. But I'm just going to go overall. The fastest guy this season has been Denny Hamlin. Surely at some point it's got to pay off. I don't know if there's one specific favorite either this weekend to win the race either, like it's kind of been the last couple of weeks. So Denny Hamlin will be my top Toyota, and we'll see how things play out from there.
Just like you're doing with Chase Elliott to cover your basis with my lineup, I'm covering my bases here. Kyle Busch is my top Toyota finisher. Okay. And I do like the practice element to him. I just don't feel like a full usage for him is quite worth my time when I look at some other tracks coming up, but I think he's going to have a pretty solid day at Nashville. It's a track he's had success at in the past. Won an Xfinity Series race here way back when in those NOS colors. So I think he's going to be a really good shout. And of course, the last time he was here and won a race in the Xfinity Series or then the Nationwide Series, he did the infamous smashing of the guitar in victory lane. What a story that would be if he replicated that on Sunday or Saturday. I'm not even going to get into that because I can tell you're already mad about that, but I'm not. I am. I thought it was pretty cool, but yeah.
And you're a loser.
Thanks for that, Kyle. Appreciate it. But if
the disrespect, I can't believe he still did that.
That was a backup guitar. It was not the real trophy. They had a second one. You got to do it. And
no, you don't. You very much do not have to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. So winning manufacturer.
I thought you were going to roll right into it, and then you just the sigh, pause, and I know the stalling's already coming.
Chevrolet. I'll just punch it in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll go Chevrolet. They're just so good right now, honestly. Like I don't know if I've ever seen like a 4-car organization like this be this dominant in quite some time. Really, like they are leading stupid amount of laps. Like it is unbelievably what Hendrick Motorsports is doing right now. And I know Chevrolet is not just Hendrick Motorsports specifically, but it is Hendrick Motorsports leading the Chevrolet side of things. So all 4 of them could easily win this weekend in my mind, just based off of how good they've been. It may not even be like their strength of the 750 horsepower package, but it's just been the consistency that entire organization has shown. I'm going to go with Chevrolet. I don't quite see a favorite from the Toyota or Ford camp that I could really rely on to get me the winning manufacturer. I think Logano is going to be very, very good this weekend. Toyota, there's 3 guys over there that you could throw their names into a basket and pick one, and you feel comfortable with them being maybe the winner because that's just how it's gone this season. But for me, Chevrolet, they've got 4 cars there that could win this weekend, and that's just what's going to give me the edge for them.
Yeah, this is one that I've really struggled with here because usually the strategy I like to go with is kind of go all in on kind of one team, one organization or one manufacturer and look to get the maximum 30 points if I hit rather than trying to diversify and trying to guarantee 15. That said, I just don't feel particularly any way about one specific team or one specific driver this weekend. So I am actually going to look to diversify it this weekend as much as I wanted to try and find somebody to go all in on. I just couldn't do it. And so for that, I'm going to match you for Chevrolet for the manufacturer, even though I just really don't know how this weekend's going to play out. But for organization, I'm going to go Joe Gibbs. I feel pretty safe about the organization pick there for Joe Gibbs. I feel really solid about Hamlin's speed. I feel really solid about Kyle Busch having the entire weekend. Truex, if they decide to show up this weekend, is going to be one of the win contenders, just given how fast they've been on the 750 horsepower package, although they've kind of only really put all their eggs in the baskets of those playoff tracks. And of course, Nashville is not one of those. So I could easily see a Truex no-show, which is of course why I didn't have him in my lineup or have him as my top Toyota. But looking over the organization there, I feel pretty solid about Joe Gibbs. If you want to go to that Hendrick camp, I mean, you can look at all four as potential race winners. So I don't love leaving that possibility up to you to kind of get the full maximum 30 if it is a Hendrick winner. I also thought about playing the Ford manufacturer as well, given Kevin Harvick, given Joey Logano. But I decided at the end of things to kind of go with the split of just cover the Hendrick bases just because of how good they've been, but also see if maybe I can catch a Joe Gibbs kind of solid day. So that's going to be the split for myself here.
I'm going all in. I'm going with Hendrick Motorsports.
Wow.
Yeah.
Little surprised by that.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I do think a Gibbs car is in a good shout to win this weekend. You know, Hendrick's dominance it can only last for so long, but until it does end, I'm not going to be the one that's going to be looking stupid and with my pants down. I'm going to put them in there just in case that they do have a really solid weekend here. I mean, their four cars have basically been in the top five the last like 3 weeks. Like it's been stupidly consistent from Hendrick. And, you know, just for that reason, I don't know if they're going to have that big of a drop off. Even if they have two guys in that top five, they could be 1 and 2 at the end of the day. So, yeah. I mean, it's really tough for me to say that Hendrick Motorsports is not going to win this weekend. Logano and the 3 JGR cars are probably their best competition this weekend in my eyes, but you never know. You never know if somebody could maybe surprise us this weekend being an unknown track. For a lot of these guys, never raced here or haven't raced here in over a decade, basically. So could be a bit of an unpredictable weekend here, but I'm going to go with the predictable pick with Hendrick Motorsports. So that'll do it for the winning organization. We go into the winner picks now. We go into the winner picks.
Just before we get to the winner picks, because we begin with the Truck Series, of course, and Truck Series qualifying actually just wrapped up. I want to give a big shout out, for starters, to Derek Kraus for getting his first ever pole in the Truck Series there with a 29.83 tenths up on the rest of the field. A fantastic lap from Kraus there. Really needs a solid weekend, just given how unlucky he's been this season. And not only that, Jack Wood in the 24 track for GMS Racing will be on the outside as well. A fantastic lap from himself, leading the way for GMS there. He's been okay in ARCA so far this season, hasn't been as dominant as like a Sam Mayer or anything like that, as is unreasonable to expect of anybody because Sam Mayer is generational. But a nice lap there from Jack Wood. So interested to see how this Truck Series race plays out. You've got a lot of really, really fun people in the field. You've got Grant Enfinger in the 98, but you've got some ringers in here. You've got Ryan Preece making a start in the 17 Ford as well for DGR. So going against the manufacturer in the Cup Series there for him. You've got William Byron in that second Rackley truck, the number 27. You got Josh Berry in the number 25 Rackley truck. You've got Ty Majeski in a fifth ThorSport truck. So you've got a lot of really fun stuff this weekend. You got Parker Kligerman back with Henderson. So you got a lot of really fun stuff. Ross Chastain I forgot about as well for Nice. So going to be a pretty stacked field for the Truck Series, to be honest, this weekend, and lots of different options for you to go ahead and pick between here.
Yeah. I'm glad that we just got qualifying done. So it just gives me a bit of a better idea of what's going to happen here. I'm going to go with the guy that led the practice session. It's going to start fifth tonight. And I'm going to go with Chandler Smith to get his first Truck Series victory. I think we see a first-time winner here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And Chandler Smith is the pick for myself here. He looks much more comfortable than his teammates in Drew Dollar and John Hunter Nemechek. Nemechek's been kind of off the pace in practice and in qualifying here on one lap speed. So this may be the opportunity for somebody other than Nemechek to go to victory lane this season. And I think it stays within the KBM camp for the Truck Series winner, and the trophy goes back to KBM. I initially thought William Byron, but I don't know if Rackley is going to quite have the piece for him to compete there if it comes down to a late pit stop or something like that. He does have his Cup Series crew pitting for him. I'm curious to see what happens with Byron. That's the guy I'm going to be really watching tonight on his return to the Truck Series. Did so well for Kyle Busch Motorsports in his one season there, then moved up to the Xfinity Series. Obviously should have won the Truck Series championship in his one season, but qualifying P10 there, in a decent position here moving forward. I'm curious to see what he does tonight for Rackley, but I'm going to go with a bit of more of a safer bet, if you want to call it that, with a guy that's going to be running full time and has a little bit more, track time with this truck. I'm going to say that Chandler Smith gets it done tonight.
Yeah, of the one-off guys, I think the one that's got the best shot to win, honestly, is probably Ryan Preece, just given the equipment he's in. DGR has pretty solid equipment. We've seen them kind of be up in the top 10 conversation more so with the 17 truck and kind of the rotation they've had than the full-time drivers, which you would expect for Tanner Gray, who's only raced on ovals for 2 or 3 seasons now, coming over from Pro Stock NHRA, and Haley Deegan being a rookie in the series. So nothing you wouldn't expect between the two inexperienced drivers. But Ryan Preece, solid qualifying time. We've seen him in the past for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series be able to come into a one-off weekend for a top team and be able to compete right away. I'm just not sure if Nashville is maybe the track type to really suit his style. So I'm not going to go the Preece route. Again, I agree with you with the Rackley comments. I just maybe if we'd seen more from them this season, maybe, but just I think it's a little bit too much to ask of like a William Byron or even a Josh Berry to go out and win in that equipment right away. So I am going to go to a series regular. Even though he isn't playoff eligible, I'm going to say Grant Enfinger gets the win in the 98 this weekend. Was really solid at Richmond, was okay at Darlington, but I'm going to go Grant Enfinger for this one. He's been really solid this season, swapping back and forth between that 9 truck for CR7 Motorsports and the 98 Thor Sport. Of course, he missed the second race of the season, so he's not playoff eligible, which is a bit of a shame because he's been really solid this season when he has been in that 98 truck. So I'll say Grant Enfinger goes out and kind of gets a win and kind of puts his name out there in terms of a guy that's looking for a full-time ride into next season as we kind of get some of the silly season stuff situated.
Our picks are starting 4th and 5th, so it seems like a pretty good area for a potential win here tonight. But Xfinity, go for it.
Xfinity.
I cannot believe you get the chance to do this.
Look, I wanted to go and
I cannot believe it. It's
wanted to give it to you.
Frustrating. It's so frustrating. I have a big speech prepared. Oh, man.
Daniel Hemrick takes the win from Kyle Busch.
Oh, you're so kind.
Just the most heartbreaking fashion. If I'm going to give you the winner pick, I'm going to do it in the way that I want it to happen. Kyle Busch loses his 100th win in the Xfinity Series to Daniel Hemrick. So if it's going to happen, I want. Sorry, I think I hit my mute button there. But if it's going to happen, I want it to happen in fashion. So Daniel Hemrick beats Kyle Busch to the line and wins at Nashville.
That's my worst nightmare if that were to happen.
I'm glad. I am so glad.
You would be ecstatic. I would not hear the end of it in terms of text.
Dude,
shows.
I would be so happy. You don't even know.
No, I know. But thank you very much. You are a very kind gentleman, Kyle. I really hope
for points. If it was for points, I wouldn't have done it. But because it's not, I'll let you have it.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. The moment a lot of you have been waiting for, to be honest, for many, many years here. You've been asking for him to leave the Xfinity Series. He's basically.
Do you think he's actually going to leave though?
He's kind of have sponsors set up for next season. They've kind of purchased some stuff. So I don't think it's the end for him after this year. I don't know if he'll do the maximum 5, but at the end of the day, it is just 5 races. So he may just continue going, but you never know. But the elusive 100th victory is around the corner for Mr. Busch. He's won 2 races so far this season and his 2 starts in the Xfinity Series coming at Texas last weekend and then, of course, at the Circuit of the Americas. He's running the M&M's paint scheme this weekend. I say that he gets it done. Kyle Busch wins his 100th Xfinity Series race. Hopefully there will be a very special graphic coming up on the Instagram page as well in commemoration of that. It was a lot of fun. I've gone through all the pictures of all of his victories in the Xfinity Series. I know you're shaking your head, but like for me, like this is pretty cool. Like 100 victories is something that doesn't really happen much. And for somebody to hit this milestone, no matter if it is in the second division or not, I think it's pretty cool. I hope he gets it done. I hope the spiel isn't for nothing. But I think it's inevitable. Hopefully it happens this weekend and then everybody can kind of put that to rest. It's been a long time coming because of the rules and everything like that being pushed down to 5 races per season for these Cup guys. So it's really NASCAR's fault that he's still racing in this series, to be honest. It could have been done a while ago. And but at the end of the day, Kyle Busch is my Xfinity Series winner pick here for the Nashville race in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Led practice today by over 2/10 over his teammate Harrison Burton. So seems like he has the speed in that car. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. 44 laps as well in practice. So very solid lap total for him, getting that track time for him for hopefully a successful Cup Series race. And that's my spiel for Kyle Busch. Hopefully he gets it done for the 100th Xfinity Series victory this weekend.
I'm just not gonna. No, I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna
honestly,
let you have the
I
moment.
really appreciate that because I've been a fan of his for so long, right? But like, this is a pretty cool thing. But alrighty. Cup Series.
Right.
Cup Series.
Now here's the real one. If you take the guy that I want to take for the winner pick, now I'm gonna be upset because this is the one that really matters.
See, now this is interesting. Because I don't have mine picked right now, but because this entire episode with our picks and everything, and you're going with the manufacturer route and your organization route, you haven't been crazy about Hendrick Motorsports, which is like really awkward to me because you're usually the one that's really high on Hendrick Motorsports, and I'm kind of a little bit more hesitant. But this weekend, it's kind of roles reversed. Possum here. Honestly, you could be being like the best poker player I've ever seen. Big bluff here. But I do think you want somebody else, but I don't want to let that distract me from what I want for this one.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I do feel that way.
Okay.
I really I do think, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with him this weekend. I say that he finally breaks through this season. I think I'm going to cover my bases. I can't go all in on Hendrick Motorsports. I have them there for the Chevrolet and the organization, but I'm really limiting myself with the unknowns coming into this weekend if I go with the Hendrick Motorsports driver. So I'm not going to go with the Hendrick driver as much as I would love to, and I'm leaving you Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott or William Byron or Alex Bowman. I'm going to go to the Joe Gibbs Racing camp, and I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin. I say that he gets his first.
Oh, my God. I can't believe you did it.
I'm going to say that he gets his first victory of the season. I think it's kind of – it feels like it's rearing to a head here for Denny Hamlin. It's finally time. I think the NBC kind of switched the calendar over to the broadcasting deal. It's like it's a clean slate kind of thing with the drivers. And after the All-Star break here, it gives them a time to reassess and everything. I think that it was good for the 11 car after having a bit of a slow period going into that All-Star break. I think it's good for them to try and get that going, giving him some practice as well. I could see something happening here with the 11 car. I was very close to picking Joey Logano, but I'll go with Denny Hamlin here for the Cup Series winner pick.
I don't feel like super strongly about Denny Hamlin this weekend to win or anything like that. So don't take my reaction as like me thinking like he's a clear-cut winner or anything like that. I
don't think that there is a clear favorite this weekend, right?
Maybe you just more like general audience or something like that. But I wanted him because he's just simply put been the fastest guy on the 750 horsepower package tracks. The speed's been there. The results have been there. At some point is going to come to fruition. It hasn't so far this season at a track that there isn't necessarily a favorite because we don't have enough data to pull from. I think that that's a really solid bet that you're making there. So that's the one I wanted. So now I have to pivot and look elsewhere. And even though I don't think even though I don't think that he's maybe the race winner contender, I'm going to take it so that if he has this kind of day, I still salvage some really solid points, and that's Chase Elliott as my winner pick here. Doing it solely from a strategy play. I don't think he's going to win the race, but if he does, you're getting a hell of a lot of points. And if he wins now, I get 15 of those back. So kind of playing a strategy call there because I wanted Denny Hamlin,
Audible.
didn't end up getting him. A bit of an audible there, Omaha, but Chase Elliott is going to be the race winner pick for myself here.
Interesting. I'm a little bit surprised you went with Chase over the Hendrick cars, because for me, I think William Byron is a sneaky winner pick here this weekend. I don't know about you. I think the 24 car could be something pretty damn sporty this weekend, but
it is
looking
solely a strategy play, because if Chase Elliott has that day, you win. Playing him as my race winner, if he has that day, then I'm very much more in the conversation, and if not, winning because of that winner pick. So it's very much a strategy play on my part, less than a kind of playing the odds of the winner.
I've got more to lose with using Chase Elliott than you do this weekend. This is, a winner pick is obviously important, but for me, using a potential usage with Chase Elliott is going to be more pivotal in our season long thing. So I like your strategy from that point of view, but we do have one more pick here because there is qualifying this weekend.
We do.
Cup Series poll. Who's going to be starting in that first selection, and who's going to get the number one pit stall for this race on Sunday? You lead us off with this one, Kyle. Who do you think?
Again, I think this one's wide open. You can look to the Hendrick guys because they've been great qualifiers in the past. Again, I'm just going to go with it just so you can't take it this time. I'm going to say Kyle Busch gets the pole award here at Nashville. He's got the track time this weekend. We don't know going into things, but just seeing how much quicker he was than the rest of the field in that Xfinity practice session, maybe reading into that a little bit too much. I think Joe Gibbs is going to be solid this weekend, so I'll take Kyle Busch as the pole award winner.
I will say he is running the pedigree paint scheme this weekend, and it's been probably his worst luck paint scheme in history.
I didn't know that, so now I'm screwed. But
so that's why I was a bit hesitant in the first place. If he's running the M&Ms or Skittles or something, then
what's he running for Xfinity then?
M&Ms.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's GG's. Yeah.
Yeah, it's GG's for the field, really. But for my Cup Series pole pick, I'm going to go with the guy that really is good on one lap pace, and that's William Byron. I do think that he's going to be somebody sneaky this weekend, getting that little bit of track time, like you said, in the Truck Series, though, under night conditions. So it's going to be a little bit of a switch for him to turn it on for Sunday qualifying, because it is on Sunday morning of the race, the qualifying for the Cup Series this weekend as well. So I'm curious to see what he does this weekend. He's one of the guys that I feel really confident about. I just didn't have the usages for him this weekend. But he's a guy that could go out there and get one lap's pace out of his car. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's starting on pole or any of his other Hendrick teammates. I think Bowman could be a decent shout for pole as well, but I'm going to go with Byron for the last category of today's episode. It's been a long one. It's been an action-packed one. Lots of different things to talk about. So thank you very much for everybody that stuck through us throughout this entire thing, and you've enjoyed the fantasy part of it as well. But any final thoughts before we wrap up the NASCAR episode here, Kyle?
Yeah, lots of news this week. So a good sign going into this kind of summer stretch here as we get into the thick of things, the middle of the season, getting more and more of that silly season news, because we all love the racing and everything, but we also really, really love the silly season stuff. It's so much fun to see how things play out, where people go, what opportunities arise, what surprises we get. Even just this week, the GMS stuff was very surprising. Kaulig getting 2 charters was something that I don't think a lot of people expected, and them coming from Spire as well. So a lot of different stuff to watch going into these next few weeks in terms of silly season. A new track debuting this weekend is also really fun. And even looking back to the IndyCar stuff as well, you got a couple of fun names and new places at a track that really delivered last year as well. So a lot of fun stuff coming up this weekend.
Should we go through the fantasy lineup one more time here, Kyle, just for the viewers to wrap up today's episode? I'll lead us off for this one because I am the loser coming into this one. So for my lineup, I've gone with Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, and Kevin Harvick. For the bonus picks for the top Chevrolet, I've gone with Kyle Larson. Top Ford, Joey Logano. Top Toyota, Kyle Busch. Winning manufacturer, Chevrolet. Hendrick Motorsports as the winning organization. And then for the Truck Series, which will already basically have happened by the time you're watching this, but nonetheless, it's for fun anyways. Chandler Smith for the Truck Series. The Xfinity Series, Kyle was gracious enough to give me the Kyle Busch pick here, so appreciate that one more time. So he's going to be my pick to get his 100th victory there. Then the Cup Series race on Sunday on NBCSN to start off their broadcasting thing. I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin. And for the Cup Series poll on Sunday morning, I'm going to go with William Byron.
For myself, also got Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, and Kevin Harvick. The only difference, though, taking the swing, even with the pedigree scheme, still taking the swing on Kyle Busch. It's a big risk. I really should have looked at the paint schemes, but looking at the bonus picks, I'm going to go Chase Elliott as the top Chevrolet, Joey Logano for top Ford, Denny Hamlin as the top Toyota manufacturer. Going to split it this time. Usually I go all in on somebody, decided to split it on this kind of unknown weekend, going to a new place. Chevrolet manufacturer, Joe Gibbs organization. Trucks, I'm going to say Grant Enfinger breaks through. Daniel Hemrick breaks through and steals that 100th win from Kyle Busch, so he can't destroy another damn guitar. For the Cup Series, though, playing the strategy one, stole the Denny Hamlin pick that I really wanted, so I'm going to go Chase Elliott, play the strategy one on that one, and Kyle Busch gets the pole award on Sunday.
All right. I love it. I think we've got a great weekend shaping up here with our picks. Very close this weekend. Not as much differences as we usually have. So it's going to be
a stressful day.
It's going to be nail biting action basically on Sunday.
With some big usages on the line too.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing that from the seat of doing it for TSN. Big news on my front. So wanted to put that out there. I'm going to be running the NASCAR on TSN Twitter account, as well as doing some stuff for them for the Sunday race for the Cup Series. So really, really excited for that. It's been my dream. So the fact that I'm able to do this for the Cup Series for NASCAR on TSN, something I've watched for countless years, is pretty cool. So looking forward to that opportunity. So don't go anywhere on the green flag. We're still got you covered here. Plenty of things coming on the channel over the next few months, weeks, days, and everything.
Just a reminder, on Sunday, whenever Kyle Busch does something stupid, be sure to reply en masse to any of the TSN tweets.
Appreciate it. I will not be tweeting out anything. If anything bad happens to Kyle Busch, I will not be putting anything out there because that
biased journalism.
Nobody knows. But make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Green Flag Pod, as well as Twitter at The Green Flag Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoy it. We really, really appreciate it. The growth in the channel has been really great since our silly season predictions video. So really appreciate all your guys' support, the comments, the likes. Make sure to comment as well. We'll be sure to reply on that front. So it's been a lot of fun. We've got a great weekend of racing coming up. But for this episode, I've been Lukas Wacker. He's been Kyle Cushman, signing off for now. Enjoy the racing from Road America for IndyCar, and as well as the triple header for NASCAR debuting once again at Nashville Superspeedway. Going to be a lot of fun. Enjoy the racing, everybody.